Okay. Here we go. Blueprint structure, which is going to be a st item. Where did I put the st choice? Use class. Use item class interaction. Interaction. Blueprints. Okay, cool. Anyways, maybe I should move st item into here, maybe. Yeah. And then we will organize by second monitor. Okay. So in this folder, we can just go for interactables, blueprints. Let's get our st item. It's going to have a item name. Name. Maybe we also need a item ID. I'll capitalize that. Item ID, which will be a int. That should be first. Tooltip, item ID, item name, string, add variable, item use class, item use class enum, and the enum default should be none. Yeah. And we will add a variable, and this will be. I guess they don't need to all have item. They should just have like this. That simplifies things. Use class. What else do we need to know about items? I think I've allocated this out inside of the Notion page somewhere. So not in here. Maybe in inventory system. Name. Oh, amount. Stackable. Consumable. Okay. Item use class. Item use or class multiplier, and that'll be a float. And we will say stackable, boolean. Hello, whatever that name is, npjix. Stackable, consumable. What else we need to know? We need to know how much we have. Current amount, or amount, just amount. And there's always going to be an integer as well. Amount should come up to below name. So you have the ID, the name, how many of you have. It's use class, it's class multiplier, stackable, consumable. Alright, see you later, ADM. Right. Thanks. Folding aim in. Thanks for that image in my brain. Whatever gets you going. Whatever gets you going, bud. Oh, why is our chat's in the wrong place on the main stream? Stream box. Move that down. For real. Like that. That'll do. Oakley dokley. So we've got our items. Now we need to have a database blueprint your database blueprint, or is it like a data? Come on, data table of item. It's the item, okay, and we'll name this DT items. So let's create like a couple of things. Firstly, add row name 1, ID 1, name coin, amount 0. I guess maybe amount shouldn't be in this database. Firstly, amount is not needed here. Amount is on like the. We can delete this one. Delete. Coin. Use class currency. Stackable, yes. Consumable. Does consumable, do we know that on the base item data class? Consumable. Let's shut the stream real quick. Can I hear the stream? Can I hear the stream? Why? Oh, it's because I haven't got one. Why? Oh, it's because I haven't got one. I think it's going better if you turn your headset on. Great. Okay. So, currency, class multiplier, 1. Consumable, yes. I need to think about the fact like consumable. Yeah, consumable is an important thing to know. Yeah, that's a good thing to know. And then let's create a weapon for us to test. I will name it ID2, new row 2, and we'll name this dagger. Use item class weapon. Class multiplier 1. Stackable no, consumable no. So that's kind of 2 good examples of items we can check through. So then what we need to do is go to our player and we need to start tracking what do we have. And so how are we going to track that? We're going to create a map inventory of, yeah, we'll do that. So if we go to our variables and we add a variable and we'll name this inventory and we'll create a item st item and we'll create this turn this into a map integer, so the item and how many we have. I don't think there's any ever a situation where we'll need to have multiple of the exact same item in there. Actually, no, if you can pick up 2 different daggers, but then they're not consumable, so this probably doesn't work. This probably doesn't work. So how do we want to do that? The only way this works is if we don't do any duplicates. So in your inventory, you can never have 2 of the exact same dagger, for example. But maybe we just make sure that every item in the game is unique. I think that's too stressful. So let's say at the moment, can we just not? Oh, we can't just assign. So let's create a function which is add item to inventory, and it's going to have ID. It's going to be an integer. It's going to have amount, which is going to be an integer. So first thing we'll do is I'll take our inventory, get key or keys, and then for each of our keys, for each loop with break, we will break item, get the ID, and say equals ID. Get ID. So the incoming ID, if this equals this, that means we've found it. So then what we need to do, if true, break this. And we'll promote this to variable, promote to local variable, which is item to add to. So set item to add to, do this, and then on completed, we will say inventory find, yeah, find item to add to, if it finds it, get or set value, set attribute value, no, set or edit, update. Is it in variables, default, utilities, map, find, keys, length, remove? No. There's like get key index by value. But this means I'm gonna have to like remove and add them all the time. I don't love the idea of that. I guess we don't need to do that. All we need to do is get value, get key value by index, no. Or set value, set attribute value, no. Get value, get, what's it, not, keys and values. Can we then set array element? The index is this, and we will find or get a copy at this one, and we'll get this and add amount. So this is what happens is if you have the item add to the stack. What we probably also need to do is get is break and do a little and bool and say is it stackable? Because if something's not stackable, it shouldn't be able to do this. Make a sequence. So if we found it and it's stackable, update its thing. If that's false, we should probably add a new item. So adding a new item basically means we haven't found it. So therefore, add a new item, which will be get our inventory and do add, map add. What we're going to do is we also need a reference to our database. Who's going to hold that reference? Let's make the player hold that reference. Item database. Let's change this back into not a map, just single, and then do db or data table item. What did I name it? DT items. Oh, it's because it needs to be a database data table. Data table object reference. I'll save, set it to DT items. And so we get this database and we'll say get row, get table data row, and the row name is going to be the ID. Get ID. Where is the utility for my ID? Get ID. And we'll just do a toString and then toName. And then that will all come through. And if we find, we should do some, we need to do a check first. When are we going to do this? We're going to do this if item to add not let's yes, we do a let struct spin and say ID not equal to 0. That's the default ID. So if the item to add equals 0, i.e. we didn't find one in our inventory, and yeah, that's just what we're going to do. True. Row found. Check it in. Out row. Pass to as item. But this is of a database. Let's try just putting it like that. And then the number will be just the amount. And what we'll also quickly do is break SD item and get stackable. And we will just select int between amount stackable and 1 if it's not stackable. Cool. Row not found, don't do anything. Cool. So now we need to start doing some things with our interactable. So if we make interactable object, create a new child, create child limit cost, interactable object, interactable underscore collectible. If we name which new folder, children, move here, interactable collectible. So we will say let's give it some choices. Let's not give it choices. This is going to just be a thing. So at the moment, the end interaction and interaction on this do these things. How do we create a child that uses event try begin interaction and then does this check? Because if you add a child and we implement this event, like let's say implement event, even if you do like a implement this event, if we do a add call parent function, the output still doesn't check if it's interactable because this will run even off the false. So structurally, I'm not entirely sure how to do that efficiently and well. I don't really like the idea of just copying that across. Maybe this function, open interaction, should just check that, but this is a generic function. Maybe calling actor should just check interact. No, because not all of them will be BP interactable, I guess. Though some of them will be like BP. Okay, then for the moment we'll just do the bad thing and we'll do this. So or can you put outputs on this? If we say, I don't think you can you? Blueprints, BPI interact, begin interaction, output. Let's try an output. Output interacted successful. So has it tried to, yeah. Let's try that. Let's see what happens when we do that. Try begin interaction. Delete that, I guess. Convert the function event. Okay, let's not do that then. I'll save. Go back to interactable object. Oh, I don't want it to be function. What have I done? I've done something horribly wrong here. I've broken something. I'll save. Save. The name. Oh, it's a function now. I don't want it to be a function. Or do I want it to be a function? Let's see what happens if I turn it into a function. So try and begin interaction, output, successful, and we part save this. And interactive object, if we just convert this into here, functions, override, interactions, here we go. Paste this in, true, successful, false, not successful. And end interaction. But I don't know why that's useful to me right now. I'm not quite sure why that's useful to me right now. Let's just delete all this for the moment. File save. Interfaces. Event end interaction. And if we just do a add call to parent. Let me just quit WhatsApp. Don't annoy me. That's very successful. So when we try and end the interaction, if I'm a collectible, I should then also get player character, cast to, or maybe I should make this into a WhatsApp. I've literally closed you. Why are you still sending me notifications? That's really annoying. I don't want WhatsApp notifications right now. I'm working. For the moment, let's do it this way. Cast to... let's make it a generic function, because I think we'll need to use this. So if we do a add item to player function, and we add a input, which is player character, maybe just actor, or cast to BP UMH player, and our object, let's just do actor object reference, name this player char. So we'll do this, and if we successfully cast to that, then what we'll do is add item to inventory, and that item will be of this ID and this amount. And that's all good, that's just passing through. So now on our interactable collectible, we can then add item to player of ID, and so they're going to have some variables, which will be item ID, item amount, integer, item ID here, item amount here. So let's do that. Once we have this data passing through, then we can start working on just displaying it in a very simple way to the player. And then we can start working on implementing it to the interaction system. Or the choice system. Okay, so item ID, item amount. UMH player, that's fine. So on our player, let's create a little debug. Keyboard. Let's just say like keyboard 5 is just going to have values for each loop. No, keys. For each loop. Split struct spin pin. Values. And then we'll do a print string. Array index. Get a copy of this, and we're going to say append. And we're going to say this is what we have. Our name has equals num equals space. So like that. So this is the item, and we have this many of them. Now press 5, nothing should happen. And we've got this, which is our interactable base class. And then let's go and interactables, children, collectible. Let's add a cylinder. Make nice and small. And we will go to our miscellaneous. Delete folder materials, and then we'll do a new folder, block out materials, material m underscore color, and then we'll just do a 3 convert parameter, which is color, base color, roughness 1, metallic 0. Everything else is fine. Save. And then we'll just create a child. MI color yellow for our coin. Gonna make it look very realistic. Color tick. Make it a nice yellowy, goldy color. Or yellow. Great. Done. Close that. Close that. Come on. Don't crash. Thank you. Close that. And then here, cylinder, yellow. It's our coin. And so we've got interactable. So on our collectible, let's also make these instance editable and add them to a new folder named collectible, and we'll add this to category collectible, and we'll say we're going to get item ID 1, and we're going to give ourselves 1. It's got one choice, which is take coin, and store event name is take coin 01. Chance 99. It's got no, this choice has no use item class. It is interactable. Let's go. So hopefully now I can click this, take coin, roll my dice, 13 passes, take coin true. Now I press 5, I've got coin 1. Beautiful. Hello, funny monkey. We have just successfully done great things. Try to access index 21 from array chances of length 19. Why has that not worked? What's happened there? Did I not clear the dice again? We'll deal with that error later on because everything seemed to work fine. So we'll deal with the error later on. And then at the end interaction, it should give the player the item and then destroy actor self. So this is now the custom code for a simple collectible item. And that's our thing here. Cool. Let's see what happens if we make another one of these. And we say its choice is take coin 02. And let's say this one has 2 of them. So now we interact with this. We take the coin. I see that was pretty close. And if we press 5, let's give it this 5, got 1 coin. Now we interact with this one. Let's check that adding more to the stack works. 6. Num is still 1. That didn't work. Attempted to access array index 24 from chances of length 19. This branch. Check roll successful. Chances. Roll to test. So is this not working? I think this is the issue. I mean, this is getting too big. If we just like print this out, is it that this number is too big? Let's see what happens when we print this number out. This. When it finishes the roll, is this the problem? 21. Yeah. Okay. So that's getting too big. So if we do -4, is that not going to work? No, it's getting even bigger. Why is that the case? Dice rolled. Ah. 3 minus. Dice rolled. Plus 1. That should be fine. That should work. Now says 1321. 21. Oh, added roll plus. Okay, let's think through this because this is not right. So what this is trying to figure out is what is the maximum, is it possible anymore? Is what it's trying to check out, right? Is Maybe instead of this, what we should do, remove this element and say dice rolled not equal to 3. And bool. Now what we're going to do, because this will now no longer check if all 3 dice are rolled. So if we roll 1, it's not possible. Oh, I made this is the easy one. Never mind. Okay. Let's interact again. Let's do the hard one now. Roll a 1. Yeah, mathematically impossible. That was the only issue. The issue was that it was sometimes trying to check something that was too big of a number. So this basically means that now it will only check that state if the other state hasn't happened. Which I think is cleaner anyway, so that's good. That's great. That's all fine. So why are we not adding more to the inventory? So UMH player. Maybe instead, let's try this. Let's instead just print out the name and then get our values and then just do it for each of those. Each loop of these. Print string. Just to confirm that this is not working the way we want. So firstly, let's grab just one. Just gonna get 1 dice to roll. Oof. So actually, let's first check that if it's false, it doesn't happen. Oh, they say I've got 1 coin. Because I haven't actually checked if you're successful. So that's fine. Anyway, this one's going to work. That's good. But we're still saying we've only got 1 of them. So that's not good. Oh, again, we're getting the wrong length. Okay, this math needs to be checked later, but it's only causing a minor error, so it's fine. I just don't like it. I could just clamp it, but that feels like avoiding the issue. So firstly, we should put a branch in here and just say, if it was successful, only should you give the item. False, do nothing. False, or just a sequence. So sequence, you check are you successful, give it or not, and then destroy the actor. That's cleaner, I think. Great. Interaction, that's fine. That's not fine, but we'll deal with that later. So what's going on here with the add item to inventory? So let's see here, print string. What do we print here? When you finish interaction, you already have 1. Let's first just see if we interact with this one first. And we get our first coin. If our first coin has 2 of them, so it's saying false. Yeah, if the first coin comes through correctly, then that's all good. But this one, when it finishes, is it saying false? No, it's saying true. Take coin true. And then we But this now is coming back as true, but is not working. So find. Oh yeah, okay. Let's split this up. So that's why, because I'm doing the wrong fucking thing. Because this is all getting too confusing. So no, this is correct. So set array element of target array. The index is going to be this one. And we're going to get this index, which should be that, and it should set it to this plus the amount. Have we set the amount to 1 on this? Yeah, amount 1, and on our interactable collection, amount to player, the amount is being passed through. So here, let's print string. We'll do a little append, add coin dash current and amount to add and total equals this. I'll save. So index item. That should be correct. If we take 1 coin, this should say take coin true, but we don't have any coins right now, so that's correct. So then this one, take coin, add coin, 0, 2, total 2. Why is the first one coming back as 0? So let's first then do another print string. So at the point of finding the item, the found array append array found index equals play. So the found index should be 0, I guess. Found index 1. Okay, be back 2 minutes. I'm going to think about this. Okay. We're back. Does anyone else do their best thinking on the toilet? Because I swear, like, the mental clarity you get sitting on the toilet is unreal. I think if I ever run into another problem, I'll just go sit on the toilet, even if I don't need to use it. So what's going on here, I think, is that this find is returning back nothing, but this thinks it's found something. So, item to add, rather than doing a found, we'll just say ID not equal to 0. And that way, we should be able to properly check if we found it. And Bitcoin true. And then here we will also, but the add coin found index now equals 1. That is better, I think. But add coin 0 is still saying that the this find doesn't seem to work. Values, keys. Let's instead do it this way. Find item, this, and move all of this onto here. I think finding the value in a map is not as good. So here, we'll do this. We'll say, yeah, passed it. So 99%. So 3, total 5. That didn't work either. It said found coin that I had 3 of apparently. Added 2 and gave me 5 in total. But found index is now back to 0. That's weird. So let's not change anything yet. Let's see what went wrong there. So when we pick up the first coin, let's see how many coins we have after this. So we pick up the first coin. We have 1 coin. And when we pick up the second set of coins, there's 2 of them. For some reason, we then end up with 5 of them. But when we look at our inventory, we still only have 1 coin. So that's a weird one. So something here is not working. So maybe also when we are player, on our testing, let's just get array index. Rather than doing this, we will append our string coin index equals array index. So what index is this coin in? That should be a helpful thing to know. Plug that in. The print string of the item and the index. And then we'll do this index this. So the item and the number and then the index equals. When we pick up our first coin, let's get our first coin. Coin true, press 5. They're both in index 0, and there's a coin and there's one of them. When we pick up this one, it should add to that index. So we do this, found index 0, add coin 3, 2, 5. When I press 5, there's still index 0, there's still coin, there's one of them. So something is going horribly awry. In our add item to inventory. Let's just rewrite this whole thing, because something is just going on wrong here. So first thing, this is okay. This is just checking. This is checking, do I have an item to add that is a valid item that was found through this? If that's true, carry on. Carry on as you are. And then we'll get our inventory and our keys. And we will find item, which is our item to add. And this is our index to add to. So this index, we will then get our inventory, we'll get our values, and we will set array element. And for the moment, we'll just say index, and we'll just change its item to 100 and see if that works. But is this a reference? I don't know if this set map set utilities map. Let's ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT. New chat. So in Blueprint, how do I edit a map array element? Map add. Is it instead this? Are you supposed to add it like this? So if the item is the same, will it just update it? We just saying change this to 100. What's going to happen when I do this? So the first one should come back and say basically nothing. And if I press 5, I've got a coin, both in index 0, and I've got one of them. And then when I pick up another one, it should say I have 100 of them. Going true. Yeah. Okay, that's what I needed to do. Ugh. I hate it when it's simple. Cool. So now instead of just adding 100, what we need to do is get copy of this number, and we're going to add the amount, and then plug that into there. And now hopefully we can go to here, grab one of our things, and see that we have one coin, and then we hope we can grab some more. Interact with the other one, and then hopefully we'll have 3 of these lovely, lovely coins. No, we have 2 of them. So let's see what went wrong there. I really want to fix that error message because it's starting to irritate me. Item ID get. So at this point, let's print the string, append, and we'll say it's this number plus this number plus equals plus this number. So this should be saying what we're actually trying to do. So pick up our first coin. We have one of them. Pick up our next pack of coins, and there are 2 coins in here. 1 plus 2 equals 3. It's now passing back the correct value. So why did it give us 2 for a second? Okay. Let's delete this then. Let's just check that it works again. Did I just misread something at some point? Was there actually no error at all? 1. 5. U. Past. 3. Okay, we're working. We're working real good. Let's try and fix this error. Let's see what happens when we do it like this. Why on earth are we getting back something else? So let's actually do some print strings here. Print string. Let's figure out what's going on here. And ideally, we'll put this back to an OR, because that is cleaner in my opinion. So let's print the string on the completed here of, firstly, append index equals this. So this should be limited to 18 because, so for example, in all the different situations we should be getting, we should either have like 3 minus 0 times 6, 18. So if the roll of dice, roll to add to roll, comes through, dice rolled gets set to the index. So the first one is actually 0. So that's why it's not working. So dice rolled plus 1. Is that just going to fix it? So why is that still coming back as index 22? 16, 18, 22. Add to roll. So let's do a new append and then say rolled 3, rolled 3 plus 1 equals this plus 1 equals this, comma, space, minus 3, 3 minus equals this. Is that, so you roll 1 dice, 1, that didn't cause any problems. No error. Should I interact with this one? Roll 1 dice. 1. No error. 1. That's also incorrect. This shouldn't have added 1. That is wrong. Because if you add 1, then sometimes you might get situations where dice rolled. Subtract. Roll the first die. 2. It's now trying to access index 26. I don't understand what's going wrong. I don't really understand what's going wrong. So let's just print out dice rolled. This point. First one, you roll, and it finishes its roll, and you say 1. 2. 3. And the error comes through. So it's when this equals 3 that the error comes through. Interaction. So 3 minus 3 equals 0. Right? 3 minus 3 equals 0. So why is 3 minus 3 0 times 0? Oh, this is the wrong roll. We say this. 3. What's going on here? I'm confused. You roll the first dice, and it comes back and it says 1, right? No, it says 2. Oh yeah, because 3 minus 1 equals 2. Roll another one. 3 minus 2, it should say now. Which is 1. And the last one be 3 minus 3. It comes back as 3. 3 minus 3. Ah ha 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 ha! That's why it's not working. This should then set dice rolled to 3. Ah ha 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 ha! Logical breakdown. But now, shouldn't get the error. We do get the error. V2. Ah, why are we getting the error? Well, the first die, we get a 6. We pass. That's... Well, one die. Get a low number. Give us a 1 or something. 3 is fine. So, 2, which means there's been 1 dice rolled, and that goes down to 2. You roll this one, and it's a 3, it's a 6, that's not enough. 1. We roll this one. I don't care if it passes or not. 7 fails, but that's a 0. That works. Is the problem happening when I do it too quickly? Let's see what happens if I succeed. Roll the first die, get a 4. Second die, we get a 5. We pass. No error. But then if I roll all 3 at the same time, it should say 2, 1, 0. It says 3, 2, 0. This can't be 3 at this point ever, theoretically. Because add to the what if we just dice rolled clamp integer between 0 and 2? What if we just do that? Will that ever cause problems? I don't like just chucking that in. It feels wrong. Let's do this. 15, 2, 1, pass. I think this just fixes it. Basically, the issue... Oh, so, well, no, it says 3 now. But I didn't get a error. Why does it say 3? Is it because I didn't pull the new clamped value? Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't love the solution, but it's fixed. Let's see this. Check that roll is still mathematically possible. If you finished or roll achieved already, you've rolled all 3 or rolled 2 only. Okay, then finish the roll. Okay, fix that error, which is nice. I love fixing little errors as we go. The items are being added correctly. That's a simple collectible. Should the base collectible class also track like, or should collectible and container be 2 separate things? Probably 2 separate things, right? Yeah. We still need to add the functionality of using items, but that's something we can deal with later on. What else needs doing urgently? I think that the key. Go back to our Miro board. I wrote a to-do list. So Miro, what did I put on my to-do list? To do. Yeah, I need to do more to the choices. Data struct, item list, inventory on player. Yep. Display inventory is grid. Maybe that's the last thing we can do for the inventory now. Let's just go through and do some UI work. Just some very, very basic UI work. The first thing we will do is on our player input, IA interact, we will make a new one, which is IA inventory. And we'll just do this, and then our IMC default. We'll add a mapping, which will be tracked. And it's on released. And we will, not that one. Interact, that one. Let's add a new entry. There we go. Interact. We should do, let's do I. And it's a modifier. Nope, we'll do a released. Save. And then, oh, why are we so slow to just close down some things? On our player controller, we will do interactions, no, inputs. Oh, interaction inputs, yeah, sure. Enhanced input inventory triggered get char, do a validated get, and then we will create a new function on here, which is show inventory or toggle inventory. An input of show question mark boolean, and then what we'll do here is character toggle inventory and get the I will just show and hide it depending on that. So toggle inventory, make a new variable which is inventory open. We'll create a boolean. We'll just do show inventory open set. Show true. We'll do get inventory open and just do not bool. So this will just flip-flop the inventory on and off with the button I. The next thing to do is actually show the inventory, which we'll do branch show inventory is true. We will create widget. We don't have a HUD right now, at the moment being spawned. We probably should have a HUD that is controlled and managed. So player folder UI widget interface. Come on, blueprint widget blueprint HUD. And the HUD will generally just show not a ting, not a ting. Maybe the inventory, the interaction should have been a child of the HUD. We'll think about that later. HUD, and this is literally just an empty widget blueprint with the canvas panel plus canvas panel. Compile, save, and then we'll create a new. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Widget blueprint. Widget blueprint. Inventory. Let's create a new folder, which is going to be HUD. Drag these both into HUD. Move here. A new folder, which is inventory. We'll drag this into here. So now we need a. I know we'll need a user interface, widget blueprint, inventory slot. Will I just populate the slot with things, or will the slot be its own widget blueprint and then the item will be another widget blueprint? Let's try with just leaving it as one item at the moment. So we'll do a desired, and we'll create a overlay, and create a button, and this button image. On the button, actually the button should be the base class. Replace with child button slot button. I'll put pressed. Let's just draw them all as box, and we'll just make it a very dark 0.2. 0.1. Okay, then we'll just take this normal style, copy, and paste it. Paste. I'll save. And then look at our padding and just set the padding to 1, 1. I'll save. Image 0. 1 all around, and this will be our this will be called our image underscore item, and then let's create wrap this with an overlay, and on this overlay we'll also add some text. Overlay text, and we'll make this 20 point, and we'll say its default value is 0, and it's aligned bottom right. Our image wrap with a size box, and then let's just do a width height override and do like 50 by 50. Our text -1 maybe, left -1, 1, 0. Right -1. Bottom -2, 2. This is behind. Let's just, at the moment on the image, just our color and opacity, just lower it a little bit. We can see the white text. This should be behind this. 100. We should also probably make this a bit lower. -4. 6. minus 8, minus 3. Okay. So this is our txt underscore stack count or amount. Amount should be a variable. Our image item is a variable. Our button is a slot button. btn underscore slot. Maybe for the moment, we should just put a text on the overlay on the top, which is going to be called txt temp name or debug name. Debug name. Variable, and we'll make it nice and small, like 12 font. And middle overlay. Let's make it really small, like 5. And we'll align it top and leave it like that. Part save. So now what we need is a little function for populate item. So the variables are going to be a item data, should be a st item, and then another one which is going to be amount, which is going to be a integer. So our populate item format slot. See what it's going to be. We should also probably add a little bit of padding to this button. Maybe wrap it with a border. Wrap with border. Border. Brush color should be hidden. We just want to have a little bit of space for the button slot. Let's just do 2 pixels around. Okay. Border. Border? I barely know it. 0. Okay. Save. So we need to set the button, format slot. Just get these 2 things. These are visible and expose on spawn. Expose on spawn. So first thing we should do is get our item data, let struct spin, let struct pin. Debug name should be a set text or ID equal or not equal to 0. Firstly, if ID is not equal to 0, do some stuff. If it is equal to 0, image set visibility to hidden. We need to do that for everything here. So the amount and the debug name, just everything to hidden, and our slot button is a set disabled, set enabled false. Okay. And then what we should do, if we are an item that is valid, we should probably do some stuff. So first, button slot, do nothing. Maybe we should set enabled true. And what we'll probably do later on is toggle that enabled based on whether you can actually do anything with the button at this point. Because like in your inventory, if you just press I and look at it, you shouldn't be able to press the buttons really. At the moment they just won't do anything, which is fine, but and then we should get item stackable, name set text as the name, and then we will get the amount, go is stackable, select is stackable like this, and amount, get our amount, set text to this. Okay, so that's the inventory slot. So our HUD now needs the inventory is just going to be a grid, uniform grid panel. It's going to be desired, file save, and we're going to create a new event. The function which is add item or add slot. We'll get our uniform grid and we'll just say our inventory grid variable. Add slot. What's actually the way we're going to do this? What we're going to do is when we press I, we're going to pass through the inventory. We're just going to fill things up from the beginning and then that. Cool. So what we're going to do is new variable, which is going to be inventory size. Maybe for the moment we just only create things we have. So add slot is just going to have an input of st item and amount. Integer. Save, and then we will item data. We will add widget, create widget of inventory slot. We'll pass through these things. Then we'll say format slot. And what we'll also do, and that's all that needs to happen there. So we'll create a new function which is fill in or populate inventory, which is going to have a inventory, which is going to be a st item data map with integers. And that inventory is going to come through, and we're going to values. No, we're going to go for keys for each loop. Values. We're going to get a copy at this index. We're going to add slot. And it's going to have an amount of this, and it's going to be item data this. It's fine. And then let's just this one go over the top so we can clearly see what's going on. And the first thing we're going to do in a populate inventory is, of course, it should also have a slots, which will be a groupant inventory slot reference array. We will clear. No, won't clear. We will add unique this to this. At the beginning of populate inventory, we will get our slots and for each loop, remove from parent, and then clear and carry on. In our add slot, this also then needs to be added to the grid. Add child to uniform grid. This row column add slot row of type integer. No. Row shouldn't be a map to single. Row column. Row column. Shoop. 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 These go up. So this will add the item to the inventory grid in the correct row and column. So what we need to do now is, based on our index, so we should say inventory row limit, which is just going to be a integer of a type. This is just a variable that we use, and we'll say that this at the moment is 5. So now our index in row, let's create some, let's actually first organize. Organize. Drag this down like this. Slots. Our process of clearing our slots out. And then after we've cleared our slots, clear our slots out, we'll then actually do that thing. This can actually come down to here. This can come down to here. This and this drop down. So our column and row math is just going to be, at the moment, index in is also a column. Column limit. So at the moment we'll just do that, because we're never going to have more than 5 items. So row 0, column whatever. So then on our HUD, on our widget blueprint HUD, we need to add a inventory. And this inventory will be size to content, anchors top right, and we will say it's 1 1 1 0, and we can pull it across this way a bit and pull it down a bit as well, like here, here-ish, size to content. I'll save. So our widget blueprint inventory. So player is going to, first we should, what's the best way to structure that then? We need to have a HUD be spawned or being in play. Should that be the controller that spawns it or the player? I think the player should own their own HUD, right? So the player will spawn a HUD. And then that HUD will be so before we do this, we actually need a spawn HUD. So functions spawn HUD, create widget of class HUD, and this will be add to viewport. and we will promote it to a variable, of player HUD. And it said the class HUD, perfect. So dog inventory no longer does that. All that this is going to do is get inventory and populate inventory. If it's true, we populate the inventory with our inventory. And if it's not true, if it's not visible, we populate it with nothing. Make map key 0 value 0 is all just defaulted. No, that's not going to work. Inventory. Let's just do a clear inventory in our widget blueprint. Functions clear inventory, and actually move this code into here. Create inventory. Can we add an output? Add. We create an output and then delete it. We only want it to return out of here, really. And then our populate will do a clear inventory. Let's see how this does. So currently that does nothing. Let's pick something up. Access none. Because I haven't. This is valid. And instead of here doing the branch, get inventory open. If it's valid, either do this or clear inventory. And the next thing we need to do is actually put our create inventory on our begin play. Begin play. Spawn HUD. File. Save. Play. Getting no access to none, which is good. We should probably create a debug to add some items to our inventory rather than having to do this. Aha! We got a coin, we got one of them. Here. And nothing will update, but if we then hide and show, we now have 3 of them. That is a wondrous thing. And now if we create a new just collectible test, that is going to be item ID 2, amount 1, choices, take dagger, question mark, save. We'll take our dagger, thank you very much. Now hopefully we can see 2 items with 2 different names. Dagger 1, coin 2. But dagger shouldn't be stackable, so this shouldn't be visible. Why is that the case? Format slot coming through. That's why. So true, stackable visible, false, hidden. Not hit with Salesforce. But it's a child of the button, right? So it should be fine. Even if, because the overlay, everything inside the overlay should be nice. Cool. The scale of this widget will need to be figured out later. But at the moment, we have, technically speaking, a working inventory. We need to figure out some ways to remove items and all those things, but that's a whole other thing. So, yeah, this is working. Gain use items. Gain is done. Yeah, I think this inventory now, add items to inventory. And maybe do a remove items from inventory. We should probably add this now because we're in the mode. So firstly, adding an item to the inventory. When we add an item, we should also probably have a function which is try refresh inventory. So we should get player HUD. Is valid. Get inventory. Populate inventory. And they should all only happen if branch inventory open. Basically, if you have the inventory open, try and update it, is what this is going to do. So in the add item to inventory, whenever you add or modify these things, we'll just do a refresh inventory little node. We'll just say like, so now, hopefully, if I press I, I have 1 coin. If I interact with another thing, it should do some, update it to 3. Yeah. And if I press I, open and close properly. And here it should also add the dagger. That didn't work. Did I fail the roll? Oh, don't tell me we're getting another fucking error with this. No, I thought we just fixed this. That's really unfortunate. We've got an error in both places. So first off, let's just test that this is working. Coin 1. Take dagger. Did the roll? I didn't even see if the roll failed. Add item to inventory is not even happening now. Why isn't it even happening? Not a player. Try refresh inventory. Through. Play inventory with inventory. Maybe on the inventory slots, I'll do a first thing. Inventory. Pop an inventory. On completed, let's make this a promote to look variable. Final array index. Completed branch. Final array index less than 4, let's say. True for each loop. For a for loop. True for loop. First index this. Last index 4 for each. Add slot. No item data, no amount, no row. Column this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is always going to show 5 things, no matter what. So if I pick up the dagger, the dagger's not coming through now. Why is that? Interactions or player. Where's the database of things I made? Interaction blueprints, interactables. DT item 1, 2 dagger weapon stackable. It wasn't working as soon as I set. That'd be frickin' why. Text amount visible. We take the dagger now. Oh, that was very frustrating for a second. We figured out what the problem was. Now making a dagger, but it's at the wrong end, maybe? That's quite hard to interact with. Point 2. Point 3. We haven't created any function to allow someone to pick up 2 daggers that are the same item exactly. So if there is just the 2 places where a dagger is, that's not really great. But is it ever going to happen in the game? Not sure. I'm going to pee and think about it. Okay. So let's crack on. We have the ability to get them, but why is this now coming back as something that's wrong again? So if one of these is 6, does that cause a problem? Is that the issue? What's causing the issue? Is it when I triple click it quickly? Is that the issue? That it's calling too many things at once? No, that's not the issue. What happens if I do it and the number's bigger? If I roll better? Is that the issue? That's not the issue. Let's try and get a 6 to land. So that one's going to be 6 for sure. Yeah. So it's when one of them is a 6, it seems to have an issue. So close down all this stuff about the inventory for the moment. Let's get this interaction error sorted first. I think that's the key thing here, is getting this to not cause problems. So I just clamp that. I just clamp this one. Let's just do a clamp 1 and 18, or 0 and 18. 0 and 18. Let's see if we can ever break it. Just roll a few times. Seems pretty consistent. But I also want to make sure that this never creates any false positives, you know? We need to fix that interactable thing, because right now you can't interact with something if you're too close to it, if it's too small. It thinks you're clicking on the player. So the player should be ignored and interact clicking. So creating no issues. I've got all the coins and all the daggers. Do a low percentage chance one. Is that causing any issues? Okay, seems to be working. Let's add the ability to remove items. So on our player, interactions done. On our player, on hard no, toggle inventory, popular inventory, no. Add item to inventory, add item to inventory. So this is adding it if you've got nothing, adding if you've already got one, that's fine. What if you want to remove item from inventory? So spawn, add at the top, toggle inventory, refresh, add, remove. So this also needs an ID, an integer, and a amount integer. So for the moment, let's just copy this and remove item. The first thing we'll do is go through and say, did we find it? And we'll promote this to a local variable, which is item to remove. So if we found it, so completed this let item not equal 0 true, then if we go, is it stackable? False. Then just get our inventory and is there just a remove? Just try that for a moment. Is it stackable? No. Remove. Item to remove. If it is not stackable, then what we need to do is probably just another add item to inventory, like the same as this. We'll also need to add a try refresh. And if we are stackable, then get our inventory and get our keys, get our values. We've already confirmed that we found it, so find item of item to remove. What we'll do is we will then find our amount and then get a copy at this index. And so this is the current amount. And do the current amount, so minus amount. And we'll do a branch here and we will check is this greater than 0? True. False. We'll then just remove the item again. This can go over here. Straighten this all out. If it's not stackable, to remove it. If it's stackable but you're going to remove more than the amount you have, then do that. If you aren't going to do that, then what we need to do is get our inventory. Well, let's just copy from here. Add this item to remove, and we'll get our inventory, and we'll say the value is this. So we need to create a way to actually remove items now, because there's currently no function to do that. So this can replace this. This can get straightened up to that. This can get straightened up to that. Yeah. Okay. That will make sense. But now we actually need to. We just create a debug button for the moment. Yeah, let's just create a debug button for the moment. In our event graph, keyboard 1, keyboard 2. So if we press 1, we're going to remove. We're going to remove item from inventory of ID 1, amount 1. And we're going to remove ID 2, amount 1. I'll save. And on here, we're also going to add a try to refresh inventory. Yeah. So now let's pick up 1 coin. Open up our inventory, press 1, it gets removed. If we Do this. We get 2 coins. We can remove one of them. If we get our dagger, remove our dagger, remove that. Yeah, that seems to work well. Let's just, for testing purposes, let's just change this to 2 and make sure that removing the amount does work correctly and isn't just an ID or something that I've missed. So we'll get all the coins we can. And get all the coins we can. And check that removing 2 also works. So I remove 2, down to 1, remove 2 again, goes to 0. So theoretically, we'll never actually try and remove more coins than we have because it will just be like, you can't do that or whatever. It'll only allow you to spend as many coins as you have, but the theory works. Okay. So is that now all the functions we need for inventory right now? Yeah, inventory currently is all good. So what we should do now is create the function to lock in interactions so you can't get out of them. Have the concept of single-use choices, so have a choice only be allowed to be done once. And then some feedbacky things. Okay. Let's just try and get 1 and 2 done for the moment, and then we'll probably call it a day. So, for example, this interaction is interactable true, but we probably also need a new on-interactable object on close this on our UI interaction. When we spawn ourselves, we should probably have a new variable which is locked in ? And then on begin play, construct fill choices grid, and then get button cancel, and just set enabled to locked in not bool. And so this is going to be file save a exposed on spawn file save. So on interactable object, when we begin interaction, open interaction, I'll save again. We've now got a new locked in variable. So open interaction, we're going to add a new, which is locked in ? And we will plug that into there. File save, widget blueprint interaction, interactable object, locked in, try to begin interaction. Let's make this just a variable. Promote to variable, which is locked in. File save, put this into interaction, and we will say it's exposed. So now this is locked in. We shouldn't be able to leave unless we finish a roll. So we'll roll our dice, and success or fail, we then can get out. At the moment though, this is still usable. So locked in, that was pretty easy. That was actually very easy. Because you're already pretty much locked in. So let's now think about the single-use choices. So at the point of creating the choices, we should probably just check, is this choice valid? So generic functions, open interaction, at the moment just does this. I think you should still see the choice that you've no longer have, maybe. Or do we just so if we just for each of the get, so maybe get keys, and we'll create a local variable saying allowed choices, which will be a string map with a choice struct, and we'll say allowed choices actually goes in here, and we'll do a quick for each loop and go to our get game mode from our calling actor, cast to umgh game mode, and we will say get choice get. What do we call that on our game mode? I swear we did say on our game mode. Miscellaneous blueprints game mode. Story events. That's what we call them. Story events. And maybe we also need to think about our ST choices. Is the choice checking if it's single use? So single use question mark, default value false, save, file, store events, values, store events. What's the best way to do this? I think the most efficient way to do this would be to first check, is this get copy at this index, and say, first off, is it a single use break? Single use true. So then cast the game mode and say, well, have I done it before? Have I done this before? So store events, this get our keys, find item, or maybe just do a contains. Is contains more performant than find? Because we can just find and then say branch this not equal to -1. True. If it's not equal to -1, which means we found it, then do nothing. So false, then get allowed choices and add an item, which is going to be this name and this choice. This name and this choice, which come back from things before that. So this false also is going to get added to here. That was quite a big change. Let's just see if it works. Because currently, everything should be allowed to be done as many times as possible. 9. Yeah, so that's still allowed. If we now say that choice B is a single use, and we go and interact with it, choice B is here, and we do it, and that will finish and create the story event for choice as it failed. Then we go back. It's still there. Why is it still there? Why is it still there? Add. If we just never add anything to this for the moment, does this spawns nothing? Correct. That's good. That's what we want to see. So if it's a single use false, add. So choice A. If it's a single use true, just to try and help this readability. So if single use is why is this getting so confusing? Single use is true. Cast to the game mode. Go through the story events. And say if this equals let's do a quick, then let's just do contains item. Oop. True, do nothing, false, add. And let's also, on our player, player, let's take away this 5 for the moment and just do a get to game mode, cast to MUMH, get story events, then do a quick for each loop map. Oh, you can do it for each loop on a map. That's very useful. I should be using that more. For each loop map, map key, print string, append the string name, space, dash space, add value. So right now nothing. If I click choice B, what do we say? Test choice B 0. But choice B is still usable. It shouldn't be spawning choice B right now. Interactable object, generic functions. So this choices test choice B let's try a print string here of just this maybe. What are we actually trying to check? So output log clear choice B. Success. Choice B true. If I press 5, test choice B 1. But here, when I click this, it's saying choice B, not test choice B. So what string is it comparing? It should be comparing choice B. It should be comparing event name, not the visible name. Yeah, story event name it should be comparing. So that's where we're going wrong. So what it should be doing here actually is rather than checking this array element, it should be checking this story event name, and then this array element should be added back in over here. Because this is the choice display name, which is not really the best thing to use for that other one. So now let's see what we do. We do our choice B, and it happens, it fails. Oh no, it's failed. I can see that test choice B happened. Test choice B happened and it's false. And now I interact with it, I only see choice A. Okay. And then we need to start doing things like checking if it's like interactable based on how many choices it has or whatever. Yeah. That's cool. That's good, I think. So quickly, let's look at the player and e-interact box should be. Let's just. I think we're pretty committed to the click to move stuff. I think it feels better, so we can just find references by class member, delete it. Oh, save. So if we go to event graph. Oh wait, I need to let's close this down for a moment. The player controller file. This shouldn't be working right now. Interact. This should all go. As well as this. Then player, interact, W, yeah, that's all good. So let's now go to our character and say capture component, collision presets, custom. Should it block click? Ignore. Arrow component, mesh component, character mesh, doesn't matter right now because we don't have anything. Cube, this is our current character class. No collision. But no collision custom. No collision. Display arrow. Overlap all dynamic. Interact radius custom. But also ignore the click. Cool. Device point No collision. So now, we click on ourselves. If we get very close to something, let's skip about this. Okay. We go at it from this way. We can now interact with things through ourselves, which is much nicer. Great. Okay. So looking back at our to-do list, we're actually going much faster than I was hoping. Locked in and single-use interactions. Single-use choices locked in, yeah. So now these two things are a bit more complicated. I think for first, we should create some basic feedback on like hovering an actor that has an interaction should do a thing. We should have a function on the HUD to like spawn a little name of the object. So what's the best way to do that then? It's probably just create a widget that has a little text variable on the HUD, or like a spawnable widget, and then spawn it on the HUD, position it based on a location that the interaction knows. The interaction holds some reference to like where its pop-up should be, then just position it in that location on the HUD. So it should be screen space, it should be done that way. We could maybe actually spawn the widgets on the interactables rather than having that be spawned on the HUD, but I think I've had issues with that in the past being quite complicated or causing problems later down the line where like it doesn't quite get the unhover setup to work. What this will probably mean is that we need to have a pretty persistent check for what we're hovering on our mouse, like every 0.25 of a second. I mean, maybe not every frame is required, but it should be pretty. It should feel snappy. Maybe this is a base interaction thing, so it's probably best to do it every frame. So what should actually manage that? Probably the controller, right? So if we get our UMG controller, interactions, event graph, tick, check interact radius is great. Now let's create a new function which is mouse hover test. Mouse hover. So our move too simple, the point is being determined by this. If we just get this and so hit actor implements interface of interact branch true. It's probably just going to be like a display hover. True. We should probably create a maybe a reference to that. Like hovered interactable. And it can be like an actor. The first thing we'll do is we'll set the hovered interactable to this, and we will tell it to so on our BPI interact we need a new function. Interactables, no, this is blueprints. They should definitely move into interactables. Move here. Dice, choices, items. Not so much interactables really. BPI interact. So we should create a new function with a set hover target. Hover interactable. Hover interactable. And save. So now if we go to interactable object interaction, how do we make this one a hover interactable? Should just let's make this widget. Widget on in blueprints widgets. New user interface widget blueprint widget blueprint underscore interactable info, and it'll be a desired. I'll save, and we'll just make it a border with some text, and the border will make just black right now, and it should be padding 0. The text box should have some padding, and the text border content color opacity white, brush color black 5. Text box will be just name. Event graph struct. We will put a new variable interaction name. That'll be a text variable, and then we'll just get our txt interaction name. We'll just get this and say set text interaction name. Interactable object, and at the moment we'll just spawn it at the default scene root. Maybe widget, we'll name it interaction hover, and we'll attach the default scene root, and we will say it's class no physics override space screen widget class interactable info, draw size 500 500. I don't really know what the best way to get, but all we'll do is firstly, that's not great. But not bad. Default this to hidden in game true. But then the code will be running all the time. Let's delete this for a moment. Let's do a add widget component. and the target will be default self, relative transform, make transform 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'll save, and we will set class. Array. Sounds like user interface, maybe. Maybe it's better to keep this information on the HUD and not have each one in it create its own thing. I think that might be the better way to do it. So instead of doing it this way, what we'll do is on the controller, rather than making hover interactable and having this do it, what we'll do instead is get interaction beeper interact. Instead, we'll have, rather than hover interactable, it will have this, which is called get interaction name. I'll have an output of interaction or of name, and that'll be a text name. I'll save. So now an interactive object. Instead of that, we now have interaction name, and this will just be on interaction. Choices will have interactable name on interaction, and we'll put it at the top. That'll be a text. We need to set that on each of the objects. So for this one, we'll name. Oh, we didn't make it exposed. Expose it. We'll name this box. We'll name this coin. This one dagger. And why should you set this cylinder? We'll change this to a cube. And we'll make it a little bit longer like this. And we'll get our color yellow, duplicate, and just do color gray. We'll just make it jump. Okay, save, close. Why do I keep freezing when I close? And we'll make this color gray. Save. I'll save. This will just, at the moment, just get this name. It might do other things later on, but at the moment, let's just do this. So beeper interactable controller, get interaction name, and then we will get player character, get user HUD, get HUD, and then is this the right way to do it? I don't know. I think it would be better if they were owned by the interactions. But I just don't want them to be persistent on the interactions. But maybe it's fine. If it's not, if it's hidden, the code's running as like nothing, right? I think it would be simpler if all the interactables had this widget on their screen, and then, or had all these widgets on their thing, and then it was just spawn. It was just hidden and shown and hidden based on whether you're hovering it. That is by far the simplest, and we can see about performance implications later on, I guess. Yeah, let's go back to that way. This is already getting convoluted. So on our interactables, group interaction, try to begin interaction name. We'll leave this as a. Actually, no, we'll delete this function. We'll delete this and say show hover interaction. File save, and then we'll go to our object interactable interface hover interaction. Delete. File save. Interaction. Convert function to event. Hover interaction is now going to add widget, and we'll go back to this and we'll say it is the interaction screen space. Let's just do like 200 wide by 50 tall. Pivot, tick mode enabled, and then this widget will just be set actor, set hidden in game. And I'll save. Hover interaction, and then hover interaction should probably have a input which is hovered question mark, and then that should also then new hidden hovered not bool. Boop, boop, boop. Set this to hidden in game by default. Boop, boop. And then this should also probably widget this cast to interactable cast get user widget object cast to widget blueprint. Set name to interactable name. That's all good. And then, or we should actually probably have a. That should probably happen on begin play. And this UI interactable info name should probably instead be a function which is update name or fill interaction or update interaction data, and it's going to have an input of name, interaction name will be a text. We will set interaction. Do we even need to hold those variables? Probably not. We'll just delete this now. Then I'll save interactable object. Can't do this anymore. So update interaction data with interactable name. I'll save. Let's just see what happens. That didn't work. So, well, mouse hover is not on event tick yet. So, mouse hover. Okay, let's see what's going on here now. So this should be happening now. So story event, fine, that's fine. Controller, on mouse hover, let's do a print string of the hit actor. I'll save. Interactive object. Cool. So it is returning the correct thing. Well, whenever ticking hovered on. Box, coin, coin, dagger. So on this interactive object widget, can we do draw size text 20? And then if we just say, rather than desired, we just say custom on screen, do width. I want width to be based on the name of the length of the name though, not a fixed number. Desired on screen. Okay, let's do custom on screen and then wrap this with a canvas, and let's just say this is the long name. So that's the longest name. We can then make the width like 500, 300, height 50. And then this border, we'll just anchor it to the middle and do 0.5, 0.5, make it 0, 0, set the text to being in the middle, the border, size to content, and then now we say 300 by 50 is the draw size, 300 by 50. And now that's looking better. So we're not unhovering, which is not ideal, but the widgets are appearing, which is good. The interactive object. So for the moment, false get in interactive object validated through hover false and then set done. So this should work for if things don't overlap. If you get a situation where if we make these all overlap a little bit, it's probably a situation where you can, do this exact thing. So these objects probably should be checking to clear their name, you know. So on our BP interactable, event begin play, this should also probably set timer by event and custom event clear hover time like 0.5 looping promote variable which is hover end timer, and then what we'll just do is check our we still in play, is that why? If we check our get player character, no, get player controller. Get player controller. Get forecast to UMH controller. Purecast. And then go get hovered interactable and equals self. Self. Get a reference to self. Branch. False. All end hover. Hover interaction, not hovered, and get hover end timer. Then a validated get for this. Okay, no validated get, and then say end or stop or cancel or I don't remember what it's called. How to cancel a timer in UE5 blueprint. Set of invalidate. Okay, and validate timer. And then set hover and timer to none. Save. And now it's working. You can unhover immediately, but if there's multiple all lined up, play, they will now only show the one that is currently the hovered interactable. Yes. Interact with the box, and I'll be able to say, okay, so that is all pretty good. What we haven't done now is check if we tick off on our list, act, locked in, single use choices, feedback for something's interactable. Actually, no, we haven't done that. Done. UI element describe an object. So these two still need to happen. So if it's interactable or not, needs to have some sort of feedback. It is sort of fed back now because it gives you the overlap or the name thing. But don't allow interaction with objects. Needs to happen. So, for example, if both of these choices were yeah, I get it. I know what I need to do. Alrighties. It's 10 past 5, and I'm going to stop the call work there today. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I will make sure to stream again soon. And the next thing we're doing actually is probably working on my next main video for the channel, talking about some more design thoughts and how to iterate and update things in games. If you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Have a lovely day, evening, morning, night, wherever you are, and